I'm torn between feeling very sorry for you and finding you terribly attractive.
All right, we're about to get started. Let's do this. We're going to get started. Hello, chat room. What's going on? Welcome to the show. I know we start a little bit later on Thursdays, but it rolls into the evening a little bit better. I feel like I got to fade the music out quickly before... Where's my... It's going to start again. Damn it. I almost had it. The button stopped working, and I don't know why. So I just had to start the... Hi, everybody. What's going on? Hi from Florida. Hello there. What's going on? There we go, folks. What's happening? I'm going to be doing an extra tight show. Look out tonight, because I still have some work to do for the not the White House Correspondents' Dinner. So, see, this is the thing. So I'm always writing right up to the last minute, but then I decided to do a song because I'm that kind of an asshole. And then the whole a can of worms, and that requires extra production and all this other stuff. But I just feel like it needs to happen. So there you go. So I got to do that, and I still have to drive to LA. So I may actually just do my morning show tomorrow and drive in the afternoon, and then do Flappers tomorrow night, and then come right back. And it's crazy. Like you know me. That's how I work. But there we go. What's up, Connecticut? Yes, somebody spotted that it's a Prince shirt. Well done. Starfish and coffee, maple syrup and jam, butterscotch clouds and a tangerine and a side order of ham. That's right. So, good afternoon, hello, and welcome. Good day. Somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to do all of it. Can I show you this? I'm going to tease it a little. Hold on. I'm not going to give it all away. But I felt like I am not going to play what I'm going to play, but I have... I've decided... I'm going to do a... I decided it had to be a mandolin song this time around. Yeah. So that's just a little teaser. If you're gonna see the not the White House Correspondents' Dinner, I will actually be playing mandolin this time. Yeah, little mandolin. I'm just saying. And by the way, a Gibson Sam Bush mandolin, which I would not have been able to afford, except for my dad does Sam's setups every time, and so he actually gave him one. So. Well, if you're traveling to the North Country Fair. All right, I'm not gonna get into that. I got a show to do. Where the wind grows heavy on the borderline. All right, I can't do it right now because I have my headphones in. I can't even hear myself play. So it's like I'm playing blind. But one day. Yeah. What's the shirt about? If you don't know, I can't help you. Hold on, this should hang up here. Hold on. I have to lay this down in a nice place so it won't get knocked over. That's because real life happens here. It's a Prince song. In case you don't know, I saw this online a while back, and I was just like, I've been in a very Princey mood lately, and he's been inspiring me a lot. Yeah, I have 2 mandolins, by the way. I want to show you. Can I show you the other one while I'm here? Hold on. This one's older. This one I've had longer. I don't even know that it's in tune. Yeah, there you go. It's actually not as loud as Sam's. Clearly, it's a Washburn, but I like it because it looks like it was found in the bowels of the Titanic. It's like all worn out looking and stuff. It's very pretty. I'm pure F mandolins, not A mandolins. It's a thing. I know it only matters to me, but it does matter indeed. Okay, there we go. And all right. So there we go. You only have one mandolin. Well, I have my one my like little learning mandolin, and then the other one's like a real mandolin. So, oh, wandering minstrel I. Yes, that's me. I am, this is part of my goal in life, to be the living embodiment of the Celtic god Lugh. And if you don't know who Lugh is, hold on, I'm sure. Let's see if I could find something to show you guys. As part of my Irish and Scottish background, and who I am, it's seemingly he's a major Celtic god if you don't know, but he's known as the god of many skills. I'm trying to find a picture of him so you can see. Not that there is a picture, obviously. He just wouldn't sit still for a pose. Let's find a better picture. Why are there no images? I don't need to go to study.com. I would just go to images here. Yeah, if there's a Lord I pray to on the regular, it's Lugh. Because I just feel like we share a lot. Here's a good picture of him. This will do. Celtic. That's terrible. Hold on. That's a little better. This one's better. Is that the? Yeah. This will do, I guess. Here you go. This will set off all the maggots and stuff. Like, I know it. He's a fucking pagan, right? That's just somebody made a statue of it. But yeah, Lugh is sort of the Celtic god of polyglots and polymaths. He's literally the god of polymaths, if you think about it. It's pretty great. So, needless to say, let's see. I gotta find another one. Where is this? Yeah, here you go. There's another one. Get out of here. people just do all the quit it. I don't need it. All right, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's on. I like his checkered pants, which, by the way, have the same checks as my family crest. Just saying, it's not an accident. Anyways, so there, yes, that is my God. If I have to have one, if I am the embodiment of any God on this fucking planet, it'd be, my goal is to be Luke. So, along the way, there's a lot to talk about. I'm gonna try and hurry through some of this shit. But the biggest news I think around here, and this is I'm curious how they're gonna handle it, is the 5 is having a problem because Elon is out. The 5 on Musk's future at Doge. So if you haven't been following along, Elon Musk at his oh my God, the company's taking a shit, all hands on dork earnings or lack thereof. Can you have an earnings phone call, like an earnings call, if you're not earning anything? I guess if you're talking about the lack thereof, sure. Okay. Anyways, so on his earnings call, he's like, yeah, I'm only going to stay. Starting in May, I'm only going to be here like 2 days a week. And then the rest of the time, I'm going to be at Tesla fucking things up over there. I don't think it's going to help. I think the damage has been done to the brand, and there's no turning it around. Like, he's just going to basically, like, keep making the same fucking bad news he's making for the brand, whether he's there or not. And the idea that he's not there guiding these, like, wandering hacker dipshits he brought in doesn't make anybody feel any better, right? I don't know what's better, scumbag supervision or scumbags without supervision. Scumbag on scumbag supervision, or like, who can say? So let's give it a shot. By the way, hit that like. It's Houseparks Megaworldwide. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show. In the name of Luke, we go.
They tangoed, they torched, and Tampon Tim even rooted for the stock to crash. The left did everything they could to do.
Hey, look! Greg Gutfeld, you owe me money. They better be paying through the nose for this shit. I'm not going to see any money from this for like months, apparently. But when it comes, by God, it should be a stack. Otherwise, I'm suing. The value of my footage speaks for itself, son of a bitch.
Destroy Tesla as a way to stick it to Elon and Doge. But now they won't have old Elon to kick around anymore. Musk says he's ready to ride off into the sunset after Doge claims it saved American taxpayers $160 billion and counting.
No, not and counting down? No. He said 150. You don't get to add 10 more, asshole.
Starting probably in next month, May, my time allocation to Doge will drop significantly. I'll have to continue doing it for, I think, probably the remainder of the president's term, just to make sure that the waste and fraud that we stop does not come roaring back.
Okay, first of all, you haven't stopped any waste and fraud. You just don't like some of the shit, and you've killed some programs just like any incoming administration does, and it's fucking pathetic. Secondly, comes roaring back. Why? Who are you stopping? Trump? Yeah, I got news for you. If you're going to try and stop him, you can't stop his waste and fraud without cutting your own paycheck. So,
allocating far more of my time to Tesla, and now that the major work of establishing the Department of Government Efficiency is done.
Okay, first of all, the Department of Government Efficiency is not a thing. They just took another department, another agency actually, and just changed the name on it colloquially in an executive order. So he didn't create the structure by which it exists at all. And secondly, if it's already up and running, I would argue what he's really saying here is that they stole everything they're going to be able to steal. Now it's time to make your escape.
But whose dealerships will the left graffiti now that boogeyman Musk is going away? And what?
He's not going away. He's still going to be the same prick he was before.
Electric cars will Walt staffers vandalize and get away with it? And who will arouse Joe Scarborough?
The last thing this guy needs to do right now when he's getting pounded is, what has he lost, $150 billion? Like, it is time to go back to your day job.
Elon went with the chainsaw and the drama, and I think ultimately it's reflected in these polling numbers. We're seeing this is just not a popular move.
He is not only like very sinister and has no idea what he's doing, and people are like, oh no, he absolutely knows because he's the richest man in the world. Like, yes, he knows how to hire smart people, but don't conflate that and believe that he is the genius, because he ain't.
You know, Harold, it seems like the Dems don't achieve anything, and when somebody tries to do something like Elon did, they root against him.
Yeah, no. We're rooting against what he actually did, not what he says he's doing. Because Clinton, Obama, everybody's talking about making government more efficient, and everybody cuts against waste and fraud. Most of the stuff that Doge is taking credit for is literally stuff that occurred because of changes in the law under Obama that is an ongoing bulwark against this kind of waste and fraud that exists. We're not worried about that he wants to come in and make things more efficient. We're worried, our complaint is that it's a cover for theft, that he and his dipshits are rolling in there, taking Americans' private information, usurping it, and using it for their own purposes. To train his AI, to sell to foreign governments, to have as marketing details they could sell to other companies, to use it as blackmail against politicians when they have access to that stuff. Because the first place, when you go into places like the Treasury and the IRS, if you're going to gather leveraged information that the IRS might have against people, it would be politician people in power.
You can't be for that, can you? When you see that, like, we're dealing with a problem, which is economic collapse.
No, we're not. No. We're dealing with economic collapse because Trump started this dipshit trade war for no fucking reason. The U.S. government's debt to GDP ratio is not an imminent us on the edge of imminent collapse. We're not. That is not happening. It may be problematic, and they were like, "This is huge." This is like when we've been at war. Well, COVID was worse than a war. It literally shut down the world economy more than World War II did. It had more of an economic impact on the United States than World War II and Vietnam put together. So the idea that we would run up a fucking bill in the wake of that and then slowly pare it down over time makes a whole lot of fucking sense. In the same way that if a hurricane ripped your fucking roof off, you wouldn't just leave the roof off and go, we can't afford that right now, because the rest of the house becomes useless if you don't pay for a new roof.
The reason for Doge. Why would you root against that? Why would you, Harold, root against that?
So it's good to be back with you, and you haven't lost your fastball. I can see the. I'm not rooting. I never root against any great American company or great American business guy. I can disagree with him, and I think those in Congress, Democrat and Republican alike, have disagreed with Mr. Musk. But let's get to the positive. Doge has been a great effort on the part of the White House to try to help highlight redundancies and highlight inefficiencies in our government.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, they're pushing back against redundancies. That was their biggest concern. It's not that we're doing this at all. It's that we're doing it twice. Asshole, they don't want to do it at all. They're not worried about us overdoing charity. They want to eliminate it entirely. They don't worry that we're helping refugees twice. They don't want to help refugees.
Highlight ways in which we can think about reimagining agencies to do better things with less money. I've always thought that the real opportunity for anyone that want to look at government efficiencies was to say we scale what's working, be it tax cuts or spending, we reform what can be fixed, and we scrap what's not working. And they have not done all of that. It appears, at least according to our notes, that according to what Mr. Musk has been able to do with Doge, they've estimated they're going to save some $150 to $160 billion. We'll see if that's the case, which works out to be about $1,000 per taxpayer. We'll take the savings. Now, I wouldn't blame it all on Dems. I mean, there are reports in newspapers today showing that Mr. Musk had disagreements with one of our old colleagues, Mr. Duffy, the Secretary of Transportation, and even the Secretary of Treasury. He and Mr. Besson, apparently, according to press reports, and you can't always believe those things, but according to press reports, they had their differences. I hope the real...
Oh, did they have their differences? You guys heard, wait, chat room, did you hear about the differences that they had? Did you hear about the differences? Hold on. Besant and Musk got into a shouting match according to Axios and others, nobody disputes it, by the way. Even Karen Levitt admitted that it actually happened. Musk versus Bessent. Dispute erupted into West Wing shouting match. You guys see this shit? These two started yelling at each other. Elon Musk and Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent got into a heated shouting match in earshot of President Trump and other officials at the White House last week during a dispute about the IRS. That's because Musk wanted a guy in charge of the IRS that was one of the alleged whistleblowers who was completely full of shit and almost cocked up the case against Hunter Biden. That he literally would have, if they'd have followed him, the entire case about Hunter Biden's taxes not being paid would have been thrown out because that fuckhead wanted to use unreliable sources gotten from the internet as the primary way that they got leads to other information, which would have been thrown out in court by any baseline judge anywhere, like any defense attorney that fucking Hunter Biden had found in the phone book would have gotten it tossed out and everything that followed it by fruit of the poison tree. It would have been dumb. So the guy's a moron, and that's who Musk wanted in. Bessent wanted somebody who actually knew what they were doing. Okay, so it was two billionaire middle-aged men thinking it was WWE in the Hall of the West Wing. One witness said of the argument last Thursday, Bessent's net worth is actually $520 million in actual cash, by the way. Why it matters. The clash with both men in each other's face showed how much Musk's personality and style have rankled some senior administration officials since he began running roughshod through agencies with Doge. New York Times first reported on Friday that Bessent and Musk had a disagreement over who would lead the IRS, but the chest-to-chest clash between the two men a day earlier has not been reported previously. They were not physical in the Oval, but the president saw it and then they carried it down the hall, and that's where they did it again. It was quite a scene, said a second person. It was loud. I mean, loud. Asked about the shouting match, White House Press Secretary Caroline Levitt referred to comments she made to the Times about how it's no secret President Trump has put together a team of people who are incredibly passionate about the issues impacting our country. So they're admitting it happened. They're not denying it at all. Disagreements are a normal part of any healthy process. And ultimately, everyone knows they serve at the pleasure of President Trump. Musk and Bessent's reps didn't say anything. Musk has had high-profile disputes with Marco Rubio, with Sean Duffy, with Peter Navarro. Everyone thinks Doge is great, but Elon's antics are just a bit much, said another administration official. Musk and Bessent had a choppy start during the presidential transition. Musk lobbied hard for Howard Lutnick to get the Treasury post, but Trump went with Bessent instead, picked Lutnick to head the Commerce Department, which was also a mistake. Again, this is Musk inserting Lutnick in, who's been a horrifyingly bad choice. Once Trump became president, Musk and Bessent clashed over Treasury hires. It wasn't a fighting about right or wrong. It was about control. The roots of the tension between Musk and Bessent is partly rooted in their personalities. Musk is a move fast, break stuff iconoclast, business leader, and social media celebrity. Bessent is a cerebral reserve financial guru who's much more comfortable explaining markets than being in the news or in dispute with Musk. What surprises a lot of people is Scott is so mild-mannered, but he has his limits and he can roar. Scott can't stand Musk. That goes pretty deep and pretty far back, but he's acting like a grown-up about it. This was other folks. So there you go. So that's what he's referring to.
Of this, Greg, is that Mr. Trump will now ask all of his agency heads to bring to him budgets that cut 2 to 4% of spending from what they spent last year,
which they could have done already. Why would you need Doge for that? For real. If 2 to 4% is what you're trying to cut out of every department, why do you need Doge? Are the people that he put in charge of everything so materially incapable of requesting that from their budgetary team and putting together a strategy for what that is? Doing like a bi-weekly meeting where you go through what the major costs are, what the like discretionary spending you have within the agency that you can get rid of to bring it down 2 to 4%. Why the fuck would they need Doge like busting into USAID or kicking down the doors at the fucking Treasury or the Department of Education or the Department of Peace, for fuck's sake?
Explain why, and then go before the Congress and do that. That's the process by which this works. So I congratulate him. I think he's leaving for a variety of reasons, not just because Jasmine Crockett said those things, and maybe even because he wants to get back to his company and get his company roaring again like it was.
roaring? No, I think he's got to salvage what's left of it.
Over the many, many years before he joined government.
You know, Jesse, this is shocking to politicians because they never know when to leave.
Wait, is he drinking out of a poop emoji cup? Wait a second. He is. Who? Honestly, I don't understand why you would do that unless you lost a bet or you're one of those people who goes, oh my God, I got this shit emoji cup. It's a hoot.
You know, Jesse, this is
I think it's probably the latter, not the former.
shocking to politicians because they never know when to leave. You know, Musk understays. He doesn't.
He's not elected. He wasn't elected. He's an unelected bureaucrat.
Overstay. You know, you could just ask his baby mamas.
How many?
14.
14 and counting.
I don't know.
Probably more. So it's the contribution that he made is not how much he saved the taxpayers.
It kind of is, though. Or, I mean, he certainly hasn't contributed anywhere near the number. He was promising $1 trillion, probably $2 trillion. And it's like, it's prostate problem piddle comparatively.
Exposing how much Democrats stole from the taxpayers.
Yes, that's right. That's why all those people all those Democrats are being locked up for fraud. Jesus.
So easy. It's only 3 steps, Greg. You are a Democrat, you know a Democrat in D.C., and you get them to send you money. That's how
Is that how it works? Because I am a Democrat. I know a Democrat in D.C. It never occurred to me to get them to just send me money. What a nutty concept.
it works. And
It's not how it works at all. It's not how it works. And if it only worked for Democrats, then it would have been shut down a long fucking time ago. If the idea is that this is just a way that like Democrats have set up this system and that like Republican presidents from Reagan through Bush 1 and 2 and Trump himself in his first term, they were just incapable of eliminating all this Democratic graft because it was so insidious and so secretive.
$1 million to clean up a beach. Now, if you get a DEI or DUI,
Like, I mean, it's easy to mix up when you've been talking about Pete Hegseth.
WI, they will make you clean up the beach for free as part of your community service. Or the beaches that I go to, the local.
The beaches you are already drunk. You're already drunk when you're there. You just drink at the beach.
Government does it already.
The clothing optional ones.
You've been there?
Yes.
I thought I saw something. I just needed to wear my glasses. And then they also have $1 million that goes to ocean justice. Now, if there was an auditor that came and asked you, what'd you do with the money? What would you say? You spent $1 million on ocean justice.
Here's what I would say. You know the areas where you say the county or the state pays for the beach cleanup? Okay, there's private beaches that pay for their own cleanup. Hotels, private residences, they hire people to come down and clean up the beach. There are public beaches that are high traffic areas where they pay for the cleanup of the beach because it's important to tourism. And then there's areas where there's the houses don't cost as much further down the beach, and the beach kind of looks like shit. And that's because stuff washes up there after a chemical spill or something like that, and they focus on the rich, wealthy, or tourist areas because they need to save local business and they need to protect those areas, and they spend all the cleanup money there, but they don't spend it on the poor kid beach or the fishing areas where poor people go. That's what that's for. That would be the justice part. That's where there is an injustice in how money is being spent. And that's not even, again, we have a $7 trillion fucking budget for the government. $7 trillion. A $2 trillion deficit under Trump, which has gotten bigger under Trump than it was under Biden. So at one point, I don't want to hear shit about a single $1 million that was probably a matching fund or a loan guarantee based on other money raised. And seriously, did we need to allow a bunch of unelected incel douchebags access to the servers at the Treasury, the IRS, and Social Security so that you could save $1 million in beach cleanup on a beach you would never go to because there's too many fucking black people, Jesse?
Did Al Sharpton come out to the beach and yell something in a bullhorn to the whale? I don't know, but they...
Maybe look it up then, or and shut the fuck up till you do know. Because it's not that hard to figure out. There are underprivileged communities that do have access to a beach, and the beach does not have the resources of the rich community or the tourist area to clean up the beach when there's a problem. When garbage washes the shore, when people dump shit there, when there's been a chemical or an oil spill that needs to be cleaned up, that's why. And it's a fucking pittance, because if you spent a little more, you could argue that that place might not just become a better beach for the locals, giving them something to do and a safe environment to go swimming and hang out with their family and friends, but also might be a small, budding, communal tourist area where people come and visit their relatives in those areas now because the beach is nice and the families grow and their connections grow and their businesses grow because of it.
Stole the money. And that's why Bondi has to get the prosecution referral and put some of these thieves in jail so they don't do it again. He knew it wasn't going to be popular when he did this job. It's like you come in and you're basically...
Hold on. Hey, fuckhead. Listen, I and all my Democrat friends are for environmental justice and cleaning up beaches and saving the whales and all that hippie shit, right? We're all for it. What we're not for is people stealing money that's supposed to go to that and it not helping in those areas. So I want those people to go to jail for fraud more than you do. If somebody gets money to clean up a beach and they don't fucking do it, the person who wants the beach clean cares more about it than the person who doesn't give a fuck about anybody who goes to that beach or ever would. I and my viewers give a shit that money spent on the environment is spent on the environment. If you find anybody that was defrauding people pretending to be an environmentalist, fuck them. I'll help you take them to jail. But it isn't the issue or the expenditure or the concept of environmental justice that's the problem. And if you find that any of these people are guilty of defrauding people for environmental funds, lock them up. Knock yourself out. You'll get no complaints from the rest of us. The problem is you can't lock them up just because you don't like the concept of environmental justice or don't understand that impoverished areas versus tourist areas or rich areas get an inconsequential amount of environmental support compared to those other areas. And there needs to be a backfill of it because it is, in a lot of cases, the areas we're talking about are polluted or dangerous to be on, not because of the activities of the people that live there, but because of shit that happens upstream or that happens, up the beach from them in another area like Venice.
Telling the whole government to strip naked and have all of these doctors look at every single imperfection.
Yeah.
And then interview your lawyer and your ex-wife and your assistant. It's like a full body cavity search, and then you put it all on X.
Yes.
No one wants that.
No one.
But it had to have happened, Greg.
It didn't happen. It didn't happen. Dude, we're not even getting to look at the SpaceX contracts. What do you even know about the Tesla batteries that Trump is trying to sell to the federal government as storage specifically for utility companies? Trying to be first through the door on those things? Do you know about it? Do you know the details of those? Are those multi-bid contracts? Are there superior products out there, or is he monopolizing the market in terms of the federal government for those things? Is that almost the entire reason why he did all this shit to start with, minus the stuff he could steal from the IRS and the Social Security database?
Thank God it did. And for this woman...
It didn't happen. It didn't happen. It didn't happen. The $150 billion of shit and stuff you don't like from USAID by shutting down the entire agency and then having to reopen it, you didn't even save the money. It's still being spent.
What do they say? God bless her heart.
Bless her heart.
Bless her heart. When
She's
she
saying that
says
about you too, by the way.
he ain't a genius,
Yeah.
I think that says more about her than it does about
Yeah, the only thing she's ever invented is a personality.
That's right. I've seen clips of her from a couple of years ago.
Is she tone switching because she's blacker now than she was before? Is that the idea?
Something changed.
Something changed. All right. So, Judge, piggybacking on what Jesse said, that he knew it wouldn't be popular. He did all this stuff knowing that it would.
Hold on. He thought it would be way more popular amongst maggots. Let's be abundantly clear. A lot of these cuts are not popular in red states. Because, I guess this is, part and parcel to maggots waking up to the fact that they are the recipient of more federal funds than anybody else. And they're like, whoa, wait a second, we are? I thought this was just magic money that I deserved for being, an Arkansonian.
Negatively affect his wealth and his status and his public persona. That's a foreign concept to Democrats and the media. Why would you do that to yourself?
Well, you would only do it if you have a negative intent, corruption, something in the back of your head.
Well, yeah, that's it. Yeah, if you had access to, if you're a rich person, but most of your money is tied up in the artificial worth of your country, your company, and it's leveraged against stock you use to buy Twitter, for example, which is a shithole that doesn't make any money. Maybe you see as a way out access to taxpayer dollars through a myriad of different sources. Yeah, corruption would be, you wouldn't give a shit about people's opinion about you if you had access to $500 billion, for example.
Why be a patriot? Why give up your own business and to go and, find out where the waste, fraud, and abuse is in the...
Also, why would you have to give up your own business to do that? For real, do you think he just ignored his company while he went leafing through paperwork like he's been trying to find a missing person on a cold case from 1970?
In the federal government. Here's a shock. Musk said that he would go as a special government employee within 130 days. And he is. Okay?
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. And he just said in the quote you were just playing that he's going to have to be there through the entirety of Trump's term.
Musk is doing what CEOs do. They set up a company, they get people in place, and then they end up leaving.
No, they don't. I think the only way they end up leaving as CEO is if someone votes them, if the board ejects them.
Leaders like Tampon Tim is saying he's going to take a break from destroying your retirement plan to try to save his own. As someone like Tampon Tim cheers that his own constituents are losing money because their pension plans are invested in Tesla.
I see. Yeah. No, they're not. No, they're not. And if they are, whoever's controlling the pension plan is a fucking lunatic. I'm just saying, if you're running a large retirement plan, maybe pay attention to the P&E on a business instead of buying meme stocks. Because why the fuck don't you just buy a shit ton of GameStop and AMC while you're at it?
So, and then you've got Crockett. She thinks she's smarter than Donald Trump. She thinks that the rich...
Well, I think she's afraid she is. I think we're all concerned legitimately. We're like, yeah, even when we're not being assholes about it, I'm pretty sure we're all smarter than he is.
Man in the world just hired the right people. Oh, if that were only the equation. But what I love about this administration is that they just...
You love it so much you have to read it off a piece of paper. You get a talking point from the White House that they're like, we desperately need to push this. Push the Pete Hegseth story isn't anything. If you have to talk about it, you got to dismiss it immediately. That Elon Musk is doing this because he's a patriot and taking a massive hit that he didn't have to take, but he loves the country so much. And of course, that country is South Africa, but whatever. But say it in a way that we know it comes from the heart by reading it verbatim off of a fucking piece of paper, because you'll forget to say it if you don't.
Did what people said they couldn't do. Mm-hmm. They said they can't get rid of the swamp and drain the swamp. They said they can't get rid of waste, fraud, and abuse. They said they can't root out corruption or close the border or make food healthier. Well, they dared and they did it.
No, they did not. First of all, the border isn't closed. It is he's enacted an emergency like COVID and sent a bunch of soldiers down there because his wall fucking sucks. And if the soldiers weren't there, the wall would still be like inadequate to stop people from coming through because it's a piece of shit. And the only way it works is if you have soldiers down there all the time. And if you want those soldiers down there all the time, you're going to have to budget for it. And that means you're going to have to pass a bill or a budget that pays for those people down there. He can do neither right now. His own Congress will not pass those things. They don't even know how they're going to end up doing it. They're probably going to have to do it piecemeal between now and June because they know they're not going to be able to pass this big, beautiful bill without major cuts in it that will upset either house. Trump doesn't care what's in it as long as he can sign it and wag it around. But he's got to pass something. He's got to sign something that puts funding to the border before you can officially close it. He just declared an emergency down there. Like it's like saying we closed Germany by declaring war on them at some point. It is a temporary emergency act. They have not made America healthy again yet. And the only steps they have taken in that direction, actual steps, is banning food additives that Europe doesn't have and that Democrats have been talking about for a long fucking time. Democrats aren't mad at getting rid of red number 40, for fuck's sake. Republicans are. That is a regulation on an industry that costs them money and raises the price of what they're making and makes it less appealing to the consumer from an economic standpoint. They don't give a rat's ass about the health aspects of it. Certainly not more than Democrats do. And again, how are they doing it? Regulations. The things that Trump tries to get rid of. How many food regulations have to come down so they can add these about red 40 and yellow dye number 5?
So now the question is going to be, who's on deck next? Who's going to be the boogeyman? It's Trump, it's Musk, who's next? But
Hegseth for being a fuck up, Pam Bondi for not releasing the Epstein files, Lutnick for being full of shit along with Navarro and creating this unnecessary trade war. We're not short of anybody. He hired a bunch of dipshits.
none of this is real. It's all fake.
None of it is real. It's all fake. So Tesla's stock is taking a dump because of the same imaginary reasons it went up in the first place. It's a fucking fantasy. Again, this was her dissuading, like moving away from Hegseth by going, none of this is real. It's all bullshit. It's just fake news. It is so bad they are just waving it away because they can't explain it.
Last word to you. I find it's kind of disturbing watching how the Dems choose the bad guys and fight the good guys. It's weird to they're on the bleachers heckling people who are actually doing something. This isn't virtue signaling. This is actual action.
Like if Elon,
like the people who work at USAID, providing refugee aid to people directly, the people on the ground. FEMA, for example, who are doing the work on the ground. Trump denies FEMA aid to North Carolina because fuck them. He's in office now. He doesn't need these assholes anymore. So screw him. But Democrats are for FEMA operating positively and actually doing its job. So because we don't buy Musk's line of bullshit that he's just there to help, instead of hashtag Doge is a fucking heist, because we don't buy it, we're not patriots, right?
volunteered to spend 130 days in an El Salvador prison as an MS-13 gang member.
Yeah.
They might come and visit him.
Exactly.
And be nice to him. I also wonder, I was thinking about Tim Walz, it was almost as if Elon Musk gave Tim Walz a reason to live.
Yeah.
And he was out and he did all those interviews, and look at the damage that he did. Not, I think, to his party, but also to a company, an American company, recommending the vandalism, dismissing it. Now he has one of the
recommending the vandalism. I recommend vandalism, if you will.
people that works in his government, an alleged suspect who is going to be able to just basically walk away without having to pay for that. And I think another thing we haven't mentioned is that I'm still skeptical, and I'll look at the numbers on the money that's saved. I think on some of the things, like you remember.
Jeez, this footage is so horrifying. I don't know. It's too terrifying to even look at. What is he writing on the dude's car with a wax crayon?
The like for example, the Trans Opera in Colombia. Like obviously nobody needs to be paying for that, but the fact that the government employees were saddled with these old computers and terrible software. That's the kind of efficiency that could pay off in the long run if they were able to fix that.
First of all, let's unpack that, dipshit. Run this by me again. So, old computers, old software, that would be great if they were able to fix that.
The government employees were saddled with these old computers and terrible software. That's the kind of efficiency that could pay off in the long run if they were able to fix that.
Right. Okay. So first of all, she's saying this $38,000 that was allegedly spent through an NGO on a trans opera when their whole thing was just like, you know, arts and support for LGBT issues in an area where we have staff, we have embassy staff, many of whom are either gay or very possibly trans, and they've got to be walking around in those areas. So helping the society be more accepting when our people are there, or our companies are doing business with them, and we have women running our companies and that kind of stuff is useful. Just useful to have that happen. But in the meantime, she's like, that we're spending that $38,000 and not solving a multi-million, if not billion-dollar issue with computers and software in particular agencies. Now, the reason a lot of the software isn't updated is because the process of doing it, which they've tried a couple of times, the cost of doing it versus the security of the current system versus the new system, because it's so old and because it's so, like, it's basically built on an intranet system, it's harder to hack because it doesn't have the same entry points that a lot of like newer software does. And you don't have to do constant security updates on it because it just works. And it's got very clear doors and entry points digitally that it deals with. So there's no reason to upgrade. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, is the issue. There's some aspects of it that are sort of like pre-Y2K in terms of people's ages and shit like that. And we've seen those things as far as how they update. But it's not less secure because of that. It's actually more secure because of that. And you could put case agents on all the people who are over a certain age to make sure that they're not getting checks like manually and solve that within a matter of months and not have to do the upgraded system at all. Will the upgraded system be necessary at some point? Sure. But Elon Musk wants it done quickly and at a fever pace so that it will be his software, so that it will be his contract. Because once it's in there, it stays in there. That's what this is about.
A trans opera. Is it over when the fat man sings?
Terrible.
Up next, Democrat groupies gather for their next deported star.
Click here to subscribe.
Okay, they cut out of that. Never pass up an opportunity to be a bigot, eh, Greg? So, needless to say, this is so gross. That said, let me jump into this because, Trump is talking about China trade talks. This was earlier this morning. I have not seen this anywhere else except his new thing is he likes these little gatherings because it makes them look like they're working. So they've decided to do a bunch of these and turn them into like press conferences as if these are genuine roundtables. When they are just kiss-ass sessions, he leaves and then they all talk to each other in little gaggles, which they would do anyways. I almost think he has to be there just so Besant and Musk won't scream at each other. That said, again, another sign that, I heard my buddy Matt at CPT pointed this out. We don't see Trump entering a room and leaving very often anymore. It's not that he can't walk, but less and less, you're not seeing him enter the room or exit the room. It's always preset before the press comes in, and he stays seated until the press leaves. And it might be that he's just got a colon problem and his ass hurts so much that he makes such a noise when he sits down or gets up that they're afraid people will start to notice. See? So they bring everybody in already seated. They don't let anybody come in until then. And remember all that shit about Biden always needing cards to organize everything and notes to what he was going to talk about? And Trump never needs notes. Trump doesn't need these stupid little cards, right? Ugh. Oh, sorry. Wow. Wait, sorry. Sorry. This is going to get bad, isn't it? This is going to be rough. Whew. Just, if you need, yike. This is, by the way, this is Jonas Gahr Store, the Norwegian prime minister, right here. Who apparently Trump mistook for Stoltenberg earlier when they were sitting together. That he thought he was that's who it's kind of unclear because Trump was all over the place, but it seems like he thought in the middle of talking to the prime minister that Store was Stoltenberg. Get on with it.
Thank you very much. It's a real honor to have the highly respected, the great Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Norway with us today, who, as you know, has been doing a fantastic job.
He has. I made him the Prime Minister of Norway just on a lark, and it's just gone really well. He's doing a fantastic job for us in Norway.
And truly respected throughout the world as a leader, and thank you very much for being here. We appreciate it. And we're going to be having a meeting in the Oval Office in a little while where you'll be invited back and you can ask some questions. It's also a pleasure to have my friend who did such a good job at NATO, my great friend, right? So you really did. We started off, they had no money, and they ended up having a lot of money after we said, you got to pay up. But you did a fantastic job, and thank you very much. And
my great friend, Mr. Captain Johnny Whizbang. What was your name? Fuck, I know it. It's on the tip of my colon.
Glad you're here. Glad we meet each other again and under these circumstances.
Under these circumstances? What do you mean? The ongoing fight where Russia is trying to take over Ukraine and your divisive bullshit towards America possibly leaving NATO, fuckwad?
We'll be meeting in a little while at the Oval Office, and if you have maybe one or two questions, we'll do it now. And after that, we'll go to the Oval.
Mr. President, on Russia, do you still believe that Putin is serious about peace given the events overnight in Ukraine? And if that bombing doesn't end, are you considering new sanctions on Russia?
So we are thinking that very strongly that they both want peace.
We are thinking very strongly that they, based on what? They just bombed the Capitol last night. Why don't you just say, I'm a deluded old fart and I'm easily confused and dough-headed and pee-pee tape. What do you want me to do? Dude's got a pee-pee tape.
But they have to get to the table. We're waiting a long time. They have to get them to the table, and I think we're going to get peace. We want to save 5,000 young people. I used to say 2,500. I now say 5,000.
Right, because you were wrong then. It's closer to 8 or 10.
We have, Mr. Prime Minister, we have about 5,000 young people a week that are dying in that ridiculous war. And, I started out because
we do?
I didn't like all the money that we were paying, and then I realized how many people were dying, and that's by far the more important element right now. I'm saying we...
because you could pretend to be a peacenik like fucking Rand Paul and Jimmy Dore and all these dipshits when you don't actually give a fuck about the death or the rape victims or any of that shit. You just want to protect Russia from itself.
Save thousands of people. I don't like that it takes long at all, but I think they both want to make peace. I do believe so.
Why? All you're saying is you're stupid at this point. Like, what the fuck? Like, the Ukrainians would have peace in an afternoon if the Russians would get the fuck out. Get out. If the Russians left, war's over. The Ukrainians aren't going to invade. The Ukrainians aren't going to start attacking Russia. If the Russians go back to the original border, war's fucking over. Done. That's it. The Ukrainians are like, yep, we're good. Well, we think some of the leaders should be tried in a criminal court. We think they declared, they're war criminals. But as long as we're not going to be at war, if they get the fuck out, that would end it. Somebody needs to bring up that, like, this war would be over if Russia left. If Russia just went back to 91 borders, it's done. The Ukrainians aren't going to keep firing into fucking Russia. They aren't going to do it. There's nothing in it for them. They will simply stop. They will seek other remedies monetarily and in terms of justice for their dead. But they won't fucking nuke the goddamn place or threaten to nuke it from here to eternity the way the Russians do. The whole thing would end if Russia got the fuck out. Get the fuck out. And the idea that you think they both want peace equally is insane. Ukrainians want peace, but they don't want to surrender to get it. A lying peace. The peace of slavery, which isn't peace. And the Russians want Ukraine. They want it destroyed or for it to cease to exist or to claim it, or preferably all of the above. And then Poland's next.
There's a lot of hatred there. There's a lot of very bad blood, a lot of distrust. But I think.
Gee, what country was it spilled in, fuckhead? All that bad blood? Where was that blood spilled? Was it spilled in Russia? Was the blood spilled on Russian territory? That bad blood?
I hope we're going to get there.
This was supposed to be one fucking phone call. Maggots, explain yourself. Hold on. Do we have any trolls today? Are there any? Hit the like, everybody. Share the show. It annoys maggots. Are there any maggots in here who are still, like, refusing to apologize to the fucking planet for buying his one phone call? I know exactly what I'm going to say to him. This would be over so quickly and it never would have happened. Nonsense. For real. Do any of you still believe that shit? Does a single one of you not now know that you were fucking flim-flammed? That you bought a bill of goods. It wasn't even about him selling it. You bought it. You got suckered. Just like you did with the fucking tariff nonsense. And the idea that it's gonna work out is insane. He's just recoiling from the damage he made. Crickets from the maggot crowd. Fucking crickets. And you know what? I give you credit if you're not saying anything, because at least you're in a moment of reflection. You are silently realizing that you were a fucking sucker. You bought this dude's line of bullshit. Because I think we can both agree, however you feel about the Ukrainians and the Russians, it's been longer than a day. They've had more than one fucking phone call. Fucking nothing from these assholes.
A lot of young people that are dying.
Also, sorry, the middle-aged people who die mean less, I guess? What are you worried about, the adrenochrome farm you won't be able to run anymore?
I have my own deadline. And we want to.
Yeah, we know. It was November 6th. That was your deadline, right? A day after the election. That very night. Shit, before you're even sworn in. Even if you give you to January 21st, the 22nd was the absolute outside deadline. Nothing. And it's not going to change. There's not going to be a permanent ceasefire this year. It's just not going to fucking happen. And Russia thinks you're fucking hilarious. They're laughing their ass off at your dough-headed servitude to fucking Vladimir Putin.
Be fast, and the Prime Minister is helping us. He wants it to be fast too. And I think everybody in this, at this time in NATO, they want to see this thing happen.
They want a lasting peace, which means Russia, get the fuck out.
We have a deadline, and after that, we're going to have a very much different attitude. But I think that has a very good chance of getting done.
Okay, what happens if it doesn't? I'll tell you what. Another fucking kiss-ass Vladimir Putin deadline. Because the Russians have no reason to give in to any of the demands, because the primary one that Witkoff just went there with was they're going to have to be able to have a military. And demilitarization was one of the primary reasons for this attack in the first place. That Ukraine cannot have a fucking functioning military. That was one of Putin's main demands. And there is no way the Ukrainians or any other country would go, okay, yeah, we'll give up our entire military for you to try again next time while this motherfucker's in your back pocket. Are you nuts? Not going to happen. And the deadline's in his head because he knows if he states it, the Russians are going to blow right past it. If he fucking said September, they'd dick around with him like into October and then still never let it happen.
What can Norway do to prove that they're an important ally to the U.S.? What can Norway do?
Just keep doing what they're doing. We have a very good relationship with Norway. Great leader, great people. I know many of the people in Norway.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you're big. More people than you know in Florida. I've got a lot of great friends there, except I don't have any friends.
And it's truly it's an incredible country. So all they have to do is keep doing what they're doing, I think, is probably the best answer I can give. Yes.
What are they doing? What is it? What are they? Name one thing. Speaking Norwegian? Eating preserved fish? What are you talking about?
Pointed out, the former Secretary General of NATO is here, Mr. Stoltenberg. How important?
Don't give him the name. He forgot it. You let him find it on his own. You can't help him out, asshole.
Is the NATO defense alliance, Mr. President, is it sacrosanct from your perspective?
And first, do you know what the word sacrosanct means?
Well, it's a very interesting question. It's certainly very important for Europe, and I think without us it wouldn't be as nearly as powerful. And as the former Secretary General, who did a great job.
Did he? What's his name? He's sitting right in front of you. The dude just said it. What's his name? What's his fucking name? Say it. What's his fucking name? What's his name? He's right there.
I played when I was there a very big role in making sure that NATO is funded by the 28, at that time they had 28 countries, including us, because many of the countries weren't paid. And
yeah, because they thought we were going to leave. They started upping their money because they thought you were going to back out and leave them at the whim of Russia. They didn't kick in because you suddenly gave them a sense of NATO patriotism. They're like, this motherfucker's going to leave us hanging dry. We got to double down because we're going to have to go this alone because he's in fucking Vladimir Putin's pocket.
Ended up being paid, you would say, and the Secretary General was very nice about it as far as I was concerned. Other presidents went in, they made a speech and they left, and that kept going on. And, in the meantime, they had no money. And the United States was paying far more than its fair share. You could say that they were paying, I actually said sometimes it looked like 100%, and it was unfair. And
yeah, just because you say it looks like something doesn't mean it does. You do realize that.
The two of us worked very well together, and we took care of the situation.
He is such a pussy in front of people. Like when he'll talk shit about Stoltenberg and these other European leaders, and when they're sitting right across from him, he is such a fucking kiss ass. Like it's so like I prefer it. I'm glad he wilts in their presence and that he backs down. But for fuck's sake, like he is so in his interpersonal relationships, he's such a fucking wuss. Especially if he views you know, the prime minister of another country or president, he views them as, unless it's Zelensky, as equal to the president in the United States in scope and power because of the title. He doesn't give a shit about what you do or the responsibilities. It's the title. And it's because he's an elitist suck-up.
There are some Mr. President.
Yeah, please, go ahead.
The Norwegian statistics are showing that the U.S. actually has a trade surplus with Norway. Are you going to be...
Uh-oh. Did you see that reaction? Uh-oh. Facts incoming. Isn't somebody supposed to dive in front of him when somebody presents a fact to him? So she says, in case you didn't hear that, the U.S. has a trade surplus with Norway. They have the deficit.
Has a trade surplus with Norway. Are you going to be looking into that and see which of the countries are actually in a trade surplus?
Yeah, well, with the United States, almost everybody has a surplus.
But not to
It's really an amazing,
numbers.
it's an amazing phenomenon.
No, the other way around. He doesn't even get what she's saying.
A surplus of a couple of $2 billion, I think you have with it. I congratulate you. That's very good. We got to get a little bit of that for ourselves, maybe. But they do have a surplus. Norway has a surplus.
Mr. President, in the current tariff situation, analysts have pointed out that the U.S. actually need allies. Do you consider Norway as a possible ally in the situation?
I think Norway's always been an ally. They've been somebody we've been very close to, very friendly with.
They're a very white country.
More so now with me than other people, but...
Why? You think Biden or Obama had a chip on his shoulder about the Norwegians because they're blonde? What the fuck are you talking about? Yeah, everybody had it out for the fucking Norwegians till you showed up.
I think Norway's always been a great ally, yeah. Norway's been a friend.
That's a very strange question, actually, because the U.S. is our lead ally, and we build on a relationship we will talk about now, Mr. President. But it's of high relevance, and I'm very happy that we have Secretary of State and Secretary of Defense.
Right.
So this is a very strong tie.
But it was a question about ally in the tariff situation specifically.
Tariff situation?
Yes.
Oh. Well, that's we're talking about a little bit different subject then. We're talking about a different type of ally. No, in this case, he would be very much inclined to be an ally of Norway because he wants to make the best business deal possible in Norway.
Sorry, the Prime Minister is an ally of Norway? God. At this point...
Which word didn't you understand?
I'm very... Like, I don't even know if... Maybe it's the accents in the room that's throwing him, or the English words that are being used.
The Norwegians are great business people. They're great traders. They're great, very smart nation, very well-managed nation. Has been for a long time, and in particular now with this leadership. But
in particular now, simmer.
We'll be talking about trade and other things, and I think we're going to come to a conclusion very quickly.
Mr. President. Gibberish, just absolute blather. Let's see. I think what's the proper?
It's not Irish. It's not English.
How are you? Fair, what is my contest with the horses, you know?
It's just, well, it's just pikey.
Mr. Prime Minister, I was wondering whether you think that Donald Trump, for his effort in Ukraine and otherwise, deserves to be nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize.
Oh, that's a good one. So, do you think Trump deserves, for his help in Ukraine, deserves to be nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize?
Well, I salute President Trump for having been taking very important initiatives to get this conflict towards an end, which both parties deserve. We need to have a ceasefire, save lives, move towards something which is more secure for Europe, for the people concerned. And on that we work together. And I look forward to go into some details because we are at the critical moment. on that price. You know, that is a committee taking care of that, which is completely working on its own terms, and I cannot comment on that.
Mr. President,
But thank you very much for that question. I like that question. Yeah, please.
What an asshole.
Can you clarify with whom the U.S. is speaking with China? They're saying it's fake news that trade talks are happening.
Well, they had a meeting this morning, so I can't tell you. It doesn't matter who they is.
Yeah, it kind of does. Because if it ain't China, apparently, according to China.
We may reveal it later, but...
Yeah, if I can pronounce the name, which I probably can't because it doesn't exist.
Meetings this morning, and we've been meeting with China. And so I think you have, Jeff, as usual, I think you have your reporting wrong. Thank you very much. We'll see you. We'll see you inside. Thanks.
China said it's not happening. China called it fake news. And again, he doesn't understand who's saying what.
Which word didn't you understand?
It's it's fucking bizarre. And again, this might just be covered. I mean, this might be, you know, like Reagan walking to the fucking helicopter pretending he can't hear. But more judging from his statement about the surplus that the U.S. has with Norway, not that Norway has with the U.S., his confusion seemingly about that question or how it was phrased, and his answer to it where he just believes that everybody has a surplus with the United States, which we should because we're the biggest buyer in the world and we have the most money and we're the richest country in the world. So, of course, we're going to buy more from other countries than they buy from us. If they have a smaller economy, it's just fucking weird. The goal should be that. If it was parity, it would mean we weren't doing as well. I don't know why he can't grasp that other than the fact that he's stupid, I guess would be the primary thing. Okay, now, real quick, let's see how we doing. Okay, we're right. Tammy Bruce is holding a press briefing. I haven't seen it up to this one point where they're talking about the Ukraine bombing. And Andrea Mitchell asks the first question in it. I haven't heard what the rest of their statement is, but they are supposedly responding to this attack on Kyiv.
Of territory that is now controlled by Russia.
Mm-hmm.
Does the Secretary believe that a balanced proposal would have Russia also making some concessions?
The Secretary's made statements actually recently in an interview, and I'll read some of those comments. I think he has also said, though, that there's going to have to be concessions on both sides. He's made that clear. We also know that the details of those concessions were not going to be discussed or agreed upon until there was a ceasefire. And that dynamic still exists. But the Secretary's been clear from the start that there would be concessions from both sides in this regard. He has also said, I remain hopeful that we can get something done because this is a terrible war and it needs to end. He also says that
fabulous. I'm like, what's he going to say? I don't know why anybody would want this to stop. It's an awesome war. As wars go, this fucking rocks. You don't get points for saying a war should end. Again, nonpartisan. It is nonpartisan that we would rather have peace than war. Period. End of story. The question is, how do you get from war to peace? And that is a partisan issue. If surrender is the only option for the right and winning is the only option for the left, and there has to be a meet in the middle, in the realm of the United States and absolute justice for humanity, you would lean more towards the success instead of the surrender, in theory, especially in the face of an aggressor. Obviously, Russia started this. Russia should fuck off.
no military solution to this war. Russia is not just going to roll over Ukraine and take the whole country, and Ukraine's not going to push them all the way back to where they were before 2014. He says we have a better understanding of the Russians' position now because we've actually spoken to them after 3 years of not speaking to them. And at some point we determined that we're just too far apart if at some point we determine that we're just too far apart and not enough movement is happening, we may need to move on to other priorities because there's a lot of important things happening in the world.
Yeah, I'm really busy. Like I know I said I would solve this in a fucking phone call in like an hour, and I knew exactly what I was going to say, and it would totally fucking work. But like after a while, I'm like, whatever. This is like boring. Okay, like I don't even know. Like, what are we doing? What is this? By the way, this is a Kyiv Independent. No point in negotiating. Russia's deadly attack on Kyiv sows distrust in Trump peace plan. Ludmila Kapatsi, 75, and her daughter lingered in their apartment for a couple extra minutes, doubting whether to go to the shelter after the air raid alarm woke them up around 1 a.m. Though they were tired of near everyday shelter runs, Kapatsi's daughter insisted they should go. As they opened the door, everything around them exploded. You couldn't see anything. The window frames and glass from the corridor flew right into our door. Kapatsi's told the Kyiv Independent later in the morning after the attack, sitting on a swing in a playground in front of her half-destroyed apartment building. The debris from the explosion blocked their exit, trapping the family inside. Kapatsi had no way of knowing if her son-in-law was safe, as he was in another room at the time. We just hugged each other with my daughter and screamed, "Lord, save us. We don't need anything else. Just save us." Fuck. Overnight on April 24, Russia launched a massive attack on Ukraine, sending a combined 215 missiles and drones at the country. Many of the missiles and drones targeted Kyiv, where the attack killed 12 people, including 2 children from the same family. At least 90 more people were wounded as the strike damaged dozens of apartment buildings, a school, and a kindergarten. During the attack, a Russian missile hit Kapatsi's 2-story residential building in Kyiv's quiet Solomyansky district, an area filled with blooming lilacs, signaling the arrival of spring in Ukraine. There it is. That's the wreckage right there. That's what Russia thinks of Trump's fucking peace plan. That's what they think of it. And the idea that you would just go, we'll agree to a ceasefire and then set a date for a ceasefire and then just bomb the living fuck out of them until the absolute date. Like, okay, we'll do it Monday. And then you send everything you've got just to wreck the shit out of them. And then you break the ceasefire 6 weeks later while they're still digging their people out of the rubble. That's Russia. That's Vladimir Putin. That's Trump's buddy.
Ultimately, it's not up to us. It's up to Russia and it's up to Ukraine.
Nope. It's up to Trump's one fucking phone call, and nobody gets to back out of it. Fuck you.
They have to make the decision that they're willing to move closer to one another, and we need to see progress.
Well, indulge me just a moment. If it's up to Russia and it's up to Ukraine, how does the Secretary feel about the fact that it's been, according to the calendar and Zelensky, 44 days since Ukraine accepted the U.S. proposal for a third ceasefire?
Of course.
And Russia last night bombed Kyiv with, so far, the death count was 12 people.
Yes, the president messaged again on Truth Social. He was not happy with that. There has been.
Oh, good. Okay, sorry. Okay, I apologize. Let me take back everything I was saying. Trump he posted something on Truth Social, did he? That he wasn't happy. He said stop is what he said. Hold on. Let me see if I can find the actual fucking post, because this is just annoying. What a jackass. Let's see. Yeah, here's the fucking statement. This is it. This is all you get. I am not happy with the Russian strike on Kyiv. Not necessary and very bad timing. Vladimir, stop. 5,000 soldiers a week are dying. Let's get this peace deal done. All right, well, that should cover it. You don't have his fucking phone number? Why are you posting shit like this? Fucking call him. By the way, did you see those couple of sentences? This is what he posted about Harvard. Just saying. Like, this is what Harvard got. Russia bombs and kills 12 people. They get 2 sentences. This motherfucker goes off on Harvard for a fucking paragraph. How about Boeing? Boeing should default China for not taking the beautifully finished planes that China committed to purchase. This is just a small example of what China has done to the USA for years. And by the way, fentanyl continues to pour into our country from China through Mexico and Canada, killing hundreds of thousands of our people. And it better stop now. I thought the border was shut. Wait a minute, there's still fentanyl coming into the fucking country? How's it getting through? I thought the border was sealed. Oh, because it doesn't come across the fucking border. It comes in fucking suitcases, and it's carried largely by Americans. And then, here you go, this is the Goldberg thing. Later today, I will be meeting with, of all people, Jeffrey Goldberg, the editor of The Atlantic, and the person responsible for many fictional stories about me, including the made-up hoax on Suckers and Losers and Signalgate, something he was somewhat more successful with. Jeffrey is bringing with him Michael Scherer and Ashley Parker, not exactly pro-Trump writers either, to put it mildly. The story they are writing, they have told my representatives, will be entitled "The Most Consequential President of the Century." I am doing this interview out of curiosity and as a competition with myself, just to see if it's possible for The Atlantic to be truthful and they are capable of writing a fair story on Trump. The way I look at it, what can be so bad? I won. You sound like a winner. You don't sound like a whiner at all. And then a bunch of shit about him with Norway, with the Norwegian Prime Minister, and then him welcoming the Norwegian PM to the House. Like, that's it. On
number of comments from both men. And of course, that action the president was not happy with. So, you know.
Oh, dear. I'm sure Vladimir Putin is pearl clutching right now. That he's oh, no. Why didn't someone tell me that Donald is not happy? I do not even have the strength to ride a bear with my shirt off.
We're at a point here, and when I think it's important to also note that when Secretary Rubio's noted, you know, we can't keep doing this, what he's specifically referring to is flying in a moment of notice to another part of the globe to talk with people, to have meetings, perhaps about meetings. It's not that we're walking away from the desiring peace or wanting to assist with peace as it's developed, but the process with which we've engaged in this for 100 days would have to be adjusted because our...
I'm sorry, they have to do it by phone? I thought that's how you were supposed to fucking do it in the first place. Nobody expected you to have to fly over there, dipshit. We thought Trump was going to solve this with one goddamn phone call. He wouldn't even have to be in the room with them. He bragged about it. And now you're like, we might have to just... It's just the price of fuel. It's just, all these flights, everybody's so busy and they don't have time to do this because of all the other shit we've stirred.
Front is global. That front is that front. There is Europe. And it's just a matter of not certainly abandoning anything, but not doing things the way that we have been doing them. All right. Thank you, Andrew. Yes, Nadia?
Thank you.
Also still on Ukraine and Russia.
I'm just going to ask a quick question on Iran.
No, we'll do that after we finish with Ukraine, Russia. Yes, sir.
Thanks so much. Two questions to follow up on Andrea's question.
Yes.
Is the Crimea Declaration announced by the Trump administration in 2018, is it still valid?
You would have to ask the White House that. Talk to the White House, talk to President Trump. All right.
Hold on.
Declaration announced by... Thanks so much. Two questions to follow up on Andrea's question.
Yes.
Is the Crimea Declaration announced by the Trump administration in 2018, is it still valid?
You would have to ask the White House that. Talk to the White House, talk to President Trump.
This was actually this building. It was announced by...
But it's the Trump administration, the last Trump administration. You'll need to talk to the Trump White House.
Sure,
yes, sir. Next.
You are part of the Trump White House. The State Department is part of the White House. You're part of the administration. It's not the fucking building, lady.
Secretary, as you mentioned, said that the war is endable. Just to clarify, the criticism of this approach is that you seem to have been asking a lot of Ukraine and a little of Russia. What will be your response to that criticism?
Well, that's, I think, likely very unfair. These are the world's best diplomats.
Well, then, please explain to us, because we've heard everything you guys have fucked with Ukraine about, but we haven't heard anything about the limitations you put on Russia at all. If anything, you're just going easy on them and releasing some sanctions.
Trump has said, and he said today in the Oval Office, that his alliance is with ending carnage, right? It's with the people who are dying. The Secretary also noted that people that were alive yesterday are not alive today.
Yeah, that's how war works, stupid. That's not the question. The question is, why are you harder on Ukraine, the country that was attacked, than you are on Russia, the country that did the attacking? Answer the fucking question. On behalf of the State Department.
So it is about getting the carnage to stop.
Right. But it seems to be that the method you are using to end the carnage is to get more from Ukraine than you are asking from Russia. Why is that the method? Why is that the superior method? In, defend your fucking position. Why is that better than just allowing the war to go on or giving more sanctions against Russia to try and put more pressure on them to stop it?
I'm not privy to the details.
Great. Can we talk to someone else then? Why are you the spokesperson? You don't even need the details. We just need the broad fucking strokes, lady.
Papers that are handed out, discussions on the phones. What I do know is that they're all leading to one thing. So I would challenge.
Yeah, a broken ceasefire as of last night. They broke the ceasefire. Let's just push all this aside. The ceasefire that Steve Witkoff got credit for establishing between Israel and Gaza? That's over. Been over for weeks. The ceasefire that they wanted a big fucking pat on the back for starting 40 days ago that was supposed to last 90 days or whatever, 60 days? That's over. Russians broke it last night. And they continued to break it, but they specifically by bombing Kyiv, they went way above and beyond. The Ukrainians didn't break it. The Russians did. There's no debate about this. They lied. The Ukrainians didn't. The Ukrainians did their part. They made the agreement. They made a deal with this administration, and the Russians made the same deal, and the Russians broke it. The Russians broke the deal. So why do you deal with someone who keeps lying to your face and fucking you in the ass? That is, other than pee-pee tape. I can't think of another reason. What is it? Trump Tower, Moscow? What is it?
Of course, your assertion immediately that there's little or not too much. These are going to be decisions by leaders with what's best for their nations, what's best, of course, for us. What we're thinking about is what's best for humanity. And it's the thing that's going to matter is the end result and what that looks like, which will be.
Yeah, we know. But the end result isn't going to get any closer to a manageable end if you're putting the thumb on Ukraine and letting Russia put a thumb up your ass.
Enough for everyone. All right. Next. Yes, Shannon.
Gibberish.
After the latest round of talks in London, Ukrainian officials say they submitted their own counter proposal to the U.S. plan. Can you say if the Trump administration is giving that counter proposal any weight, or is the U.S.-backed framework on the table the only path towards peace that the administration is considering?
What I've noticed here about Secretary Rubio and President Trump is flexibility.
Yeah, I noticed the exact same thing. Well, I didn't call it flexibility. I would call it moral relativism and skeeviness. It's easy to be flexible when you have no support structure at all. Their entire policy is a pile of wet noodles. It's fucking mercurial. It will go anywhere there's a hole. It does not. There's no flexibility. Trump doesn't give a shit. Rubio's an asshole.
That no matter what's going on, and even reflecting back on when everyone thought everything was over after President Zelensky's visit to the Oval Office. Oh, it's over. All of this is done. And it wasn't.
Well, that's because that was a little verbal altercation between the two of them, and Vance fucked up and started all that nonsense. And then Vladimir Putin went and fucking killed a bunch of civilians. You know what the civilian death toll from Ukraine is right now? Fucking 0. And they've taken Russian territory. They took Kursk. What's the civilian death toll there? 0. Russia killed 12 people, including 2 children, last fucking night. They've got 70,000 kids minimum that they have kidnapped from Ukraine.
Because this is about human beings having conversations, negotiating.
Jesus Christ. When is it not? Stop just using words to fill time.
Existential issues where their decisions make a difference of who's alive the next day.
Yeah. That's how seriously Zelensky is treating it. That is not the way Trump and Marco Rubio are treating it. Because if you really thought that, you wouldn't go, at some point, we're just going to have to throw up our hands because it's not our war. I mean, fuck this. If your whole thing is, I just want to see people stop dying. But if they're not, then I guess we just go someplace else and watch other people die. Let's go down to Sudan and not give a shit about that either.
I'm just on the periphery of watching these men and women work on this.
No, you're not. You're the spokesperson. You deliver the strategic message, the aligned message from those people to the public, and you respond to their questions if you don't have a direct part of the statement from them that filled in on the information that you are privy to. What the fuck are you like? You can't pull a fucking Ash from Army of Darkness. Whoa. Hold it there, spinach chin. I never even saw these assholes before. Like, you're the spokesperson for the State Department.
Well, without knowing the details or speaking to the specifics of what you're asking, I can...
Why would she know details that you don't know? She's a reporter, and you work with the State Department.
That it is the commitment, is the end point is what they're committed to.
Oh, fuck off. Oh, my God. Just gross. Just fucking gross. Like, tell me you don't give a shit without just saying, I don't give a shit. Now, on another note, this is, where are we? I gotta take a look at this. All right, so follow me, kids. Back to the blaze. Because one of the ongoing stories that we need to discuss here is the absolute shit-eating that is going on at the DOJ about not releasing the Epstein files. And how Pam Bondi talked a big game. This is her primary reason. She sent a big mean letter to Kash fucking Patel. Yes, it was very gross. She sent this big mean letter to him and like, I've had it, okay? Send me that information right now. And then allegedly she goes on, not even allegedly, according to her, she goes on fucking Hannity or Jesse Waters, whichever fucking show that was. It was Hannity, I think, and says, I've got a giant pile of documents, thousands of pages on my desk right now, and all we have to do is sift through them, and we're going to release them. And then a day later, they hand out these fucking binders, right? Hashtag Epstein, 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 which is your response anytime somebody says Russia, Russia, Russia. Hashtag Epstein, Epstein, Epstein. Right? But they have been, like, it's been fucking radio silence from Pam Bondi about this shit since that stunt. Fucking nothing. No one is happier that Trump is fucking up the economy, failing in his ceasefires, and wasting everybody's goddamn time on these useless trade negotiations with countries that we have a surplus with. No one is happier than Pam Bondi and Kash Patel. So, House Sparks, Kenya is now a free country. Okay. Great. Was that in reference to what I said about Sudan earlier? All right. Anyways, yeah. So, this is over at the Blaze. They are doing everything they can to avoid talking about Hegseth and the tariffs, even when it means going after some of the Epstein stuff. Have the real Epstein files already been destroyed by the deep state? Now, if you'll recall, when were those alleged Epstein files gotten? During Trump. The arrest happened during Trump. He went to prison. He went to jail during Trump. He was going to go to prison, and they were preparing for trial. He died in prison during Trump. And all of his, the raid at St. James Island, Little St. James Island, happened during Trump. That's what, and apparently Trump had all that time during his presidency to lock that shit down and Well, I don't know what the case is. I don't know why the deep state only wants to hide this shit or destroy it under Trump.
Senator Ron Johnson was on with Benny Johnson earlier today, and
no relation, both lunatics though.
And I think I don't know that it's going to be picked up by mainstream media, but he kind of disclosed what I think would be a pretty big deal within the federal government, which is that the feds are destroying. They have been caught now destroying a whole bunch of files that we have been wanting to get to the bottom of for a very, very long time. Here's that.
We have thousands of recordings versus one Zapruder film. It's not just the sender that has a record of email communications, for example. So, I mean, the Dr. Morin's email, we didn't get that from the agencies. We got that from a university that email was sent to. So there's a lot of people, you know, we gather information from all kinds of different sources, and we cross-reference, you know, when we're asking for certain communications. If we get it from one party outside the government and we don't get it from people within the government, that's how we have evidence that they're either covering something up or they've already tried to destroy evidence. But again, in today's electronic world, it's hard to destroy, particularly electronic evidence.
But they're still doing it. But you were able to find cases of them doing it.
Yeah, well, again, my guess is they are. And again, the fact that...
the old guesswork from Ron John.
Nothing responsive to our subpoena with Tom Shimabukuro indicates that, yes, he absolutely destroyed evidence, that we had sent letters, preservation of record letters to repeatedly to the agencies not to destroy this evidence.
So it's Epstein files, 9/11 files, COVID records, the JFK assassination, and you have got, I mean, listen.
Sorry. So when Trump is in office, suddenly they start destroying files related to all these things. Hold on. Okay, so Dr. Moran, Ron Johnson. Allow. Okay, allow. Ron Johnson confronts doctor he claims engaged in cover-up with Fauci. Okay, so that's what he's talking about here. So he's talking about the lab leak stuff. This is the Dr. Moran guy. I don't know why it's like Epstein and all this stuff. I'm fairly certain this is who he's talking about. Is the
Thank you, Senator Johnson. You're recognized for your questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank you and the ranking member for holding this very important hearing. We need a lot more of these. I want to thank all the witnesses for your very detailed testimony. And I'd encourage anybody viewing this hearing to go online and read the detailed testimony. I think you'll find it very difficult to not come away.
Well, I mean, obviously it was, it's all been erased, so I'm going to assume it was erased.
Reading that we may not have a smoking gun, but the circumstantial evidence is strong.
Okay. Yeah, and?
It was a man-made virus, and that it was probably leaked from a lab. Probably.
Sorry. If it's a man-made virus, it didn't naturally come, so it had to leak from the lab. That's not, the probably's on the second part, not the first part.
The Wuhan Institute of Virology. One thing that's convinced me very early on, I've been convinced this quite some time, is just the cover-up. I mean, the fact the Chinese took down data sets. So all of a sudden you couldn't find a smoking gun because it no longer exists. And we'll probably.
Okay, fine. Who's he talking to? The Moran guy. I want to see, like, he goes through that guy's stuff. He's like, it says he confronts the doctor. So here.
Virus.
Of course, sir. I mean, that would include us at the very beginning.
That's progress. That's progress because, again, an awful lot of people's reputations were ruined by this cover-up and by the accusations of people being conspiracy theorists. Dr. Ebright, the purpose of this hearing really is to talk about the danger of gain-of-function research.
All right. So, anyways, they have all this information online. I guess Moran's who that guy was, and he was talking to him. Okay. So, I don't know how this ends up being 9/11 as well. Unless they went into that further.
That's not a bridge too far for me. We talk about this all the time, especially.
Yeah, now that Trump's in office, he's all for purging stuff. Like if the truth comes out about 9/11, you'll find out that he didn't go down and help. He was always full of shit. He didn't see people dancing on rooftops. He made up all that stuff. And the only evidence of his involvement in 9/11 was saying that he now has the tallest building in in the south part of Manhattan.
With, it was something that I will admit that I never really considered. I never considered the type of problems that you could have by having an election in November and not turning over the administration until January.
Immediately, yeah.
What? I understand that they're maybe not like literally immediately, maybe not that hour, right? I get it. But why would you give that administration that much time to cover up their tracks?
Oh, hi, stupid. Real quick. Okay, first of all, it's not time for the administration. The administration is legally elected from one date to the next. They get 4 years. And that 4 years is sacrosanct. They get to serve those 4 years. That's what the voters said. The voters decided, I want this person to serve for 4 years, starting this date and ending on this day. But you can't have the election the day before and make the decision day of, because what happens if the election goes, it takes them longer to count or process it. Back in the old days, they used to have to do everything on a fucking wagon with horses and bags of votes taken to electors, and then those people had to come into the country. So that's why you needed time, stupid. Also, I would agree. I guess we wouldn't have had January 6th if we'd have done it that way.
Delete evidence, to destroy documents. I realize it's a little bit hard.
Hey, fuckhead. They're destroying those documents now, according to Ron John.
To do these days, as he mentioned. But I mean, are we going through all of these lengths to make sure that we are finding out the bottom of not just COVID, not just, 9/11, we should have found out a very long time ago. The Epstein files, JFK, you have RFK, you have who the hell the assassination attempts, you've got Ryan Routh and Thomas Crooks. We don't know very many things about these people. So
sorry, Trump said they're just nuts. I don't know what else to tell you. Ask him. He's the president of the United States. He appointed every one of the people you're bitching about. And according to him, in a recent interview with Greg Kelly, he said there really is nothing there. There's no conspiracy. They're just morons. They were just psychopaths.
To know that this type of thing is happening within the federal government, where is Pam Bondi?
It's a good question. Where would she be? Florida? On a beach? Hanging out? Maybe she's trying to get rid of DEI hires?
Bondi on this.
It's happening as we speak. It's not just that it happened in those, in the 2 months.
Jocko, what are you doing, man? You can't do that to her. You can't undermine her bullshit. You can't point out the fact that the shit Ron Johnson's talking about happened since Trump took over again, and during his time while he was president when Epstein was arrested in the first fucking place. That doesn't help. Way to go.
And
right. It's still happening.
And it is.
Yeah. Weird. It's almost like it's being ordered done from the top.
Why can he not take office the next day? There's no reason.
Yeah, there is, because counts and recounts, the processing of doing that once he's certified. There's a transition point. Even if they took it over immediately, there would be all you do is move back those dates. So if anybody was like, okay, these are the last 3 months. Oh no, these are the last 3 months. Get the fuck out of here.
The White House in 6.5 hours, is it? They move someone out and move in painting and.
Yeah, that's the fucking window dressing, stupid. That's the furniture.
Art on the wall. No, take office the next day. When do you see a CEO get fired and they go, you know what, you had 60 days to clear up your tracks and cook the books, and then the next CEO will come in? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, but for that analogy to work, you'd have to get rid of the CEO and the board all at once. Whoever he appointed and put in positions would all have to go at the same time. So yeah, there would be a transition. And as a matter of fact, how about how about we don't give anybody once you're fired, you're fired. Nobody gets 2 weeks notice. No CEO has to contracts don't mean anything. If you sign on for a time of contract or somebody has hired you for a specific amount of time, ditch out at the last second. And if the voters say 4 years, what they really mean is 3.5. How about just shut the fuck up and stop litigating something that won't solve the problem you're talking about? Is the fact that you elected a crook and you can't imagine why he would hide all this shit that he's directly involved in.
It's happening today.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
Today.
We still
No, you're not. You're all stupid. But yes, it is happening right now.
This is what back to your earlier comment of this whole kumbaya, it's all good now and everybody is on brand. No, they're not.
No, it's weird. It's almost like electing Jeffrey Epstein's best fucking friend and wingman for a quarter century threw a fucking monkey wrench in that shit.
They're not on brand. There's factions inside that is absolutely against the American people.
All right, simmer down. The deep state is not like destroying evidence in spite of Pam Bondi. They're not getting rid of this stuff so Pam Bondi doesn't have access to it. Shut the fuck up.
Today in law enforcement, and I've said this from the beginning. The
problem is cops. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, it's not because Pam Bondi, lived 6 blocks from fucking Jeffrey Epstein, and Donald Trump's never lived more than a 9-minute cab ride from Jeffrey Epstein his fucking whole adult life. It's not that. It's cops don't want this stuff seen because they desperately want to protect an elite group cabal of pedophiles they're not a part of because one day they might.
Material's gone. The stuff the American people want, where you can actually take it to court and prosecute the buyers of the children. Not just give me the names on the list. A name on the list is, you can't prosecute a name on a list. Well, he was on the airplane. Does nothing. The real meat and potatoes that's needed. They've had 4 years to destroy this stuff.
No, they had 2 years to do it while Trump was president last time.
Before Trump got elected. And then after he gets elected, he pardoned half his family the week before Trump takes office, for crying out.
Yeah, but they didn't have anything to do with the Epstein shit. The Bidens are no Biden ever has been on a flight with Epstein. Multiple Trumps have.
There's such crazy things going on. I don't know where Pam is.
She's at the Justice Department following Trump's orders to hide all this shit from the public.
I know. She's on Fox News. That's where she is. She's doing hits with Sean Hannity. I know our friend Jesse Kelly, who, by the way, check out his show tonight. I am on.
No interest. Thank you.
Along with my wonderful colleague Liz Wheeler. I guess they decided to do like a Blaze, a Blaze special on Jesse Kelly's, on Jesse Kelly's show. But it's what I was saying to him as well. But it's so frustrating.
No, it's actually not. I mean, you could pretty much understand it. It's just straight up criminal. The only reason you're frustrated is because you have put up a wall between yourself and reality, and reality is knocking, and this is what bullshitting yourself feels like. I don't know what to tell you.
When you look at, again, to Yaku's point, we don't have very much time, and we've got...
Why not? You don't have 4 years?
An administration who, I don't fault President Trump for this because it's...
Yeah, because he doesn't run anything.
Possible to get rid of all of these people overnight.
Hey, name one person who is erasing Jeffrey Epstein info against the will of Donald Trump.
However, we need to be blowing and going. Like,
so talk to Laura Loomer then.
If you're not loyal to the cause and the agenda, you got to go.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what he said to Pam Bondi, and when she said, I feel like we should release all this Epstein stuff, and that was Trump's threat to her.
It's not personal, it's just business.
Yeah, I think what people don't truly understand
is that Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump were best friends, almost as close as he was with Roy Cohn. And Donald Trump's only had 2 friends in his whole fucking life, and both of them were massive pedophiles. happen to anybody, I guess. Right, Matt?
Is that if you were, look, Benjamin Franklin said, didn't it, I've given you a constitution, constitutional republic if you can keep it.
Yeah.
America was only ever going to be taken down from the inside.
Jesus Christ. Get over yourself. We're talking about the fact that Donald Trump is protecting himself from Jeffrey Epstein evidence that directly implicates him. This isn't, don't drag the rest of us in, democracy and federalism, into this, like, patently obvious, baseline, shit-heel, grotesque political corruption. I mean, that's all it is. You don't even need a giant fucking conspiracy. It's just lame.
And I think people can't comprehend this. I see this in the UK, right? In the UK, they're importing hundreds of thousands of fighting age males.
Jesus Christ. Maybe they're trading them for Russell Brand.
And the way that the majority of the people in Britain look is they go, oh, okay, they're migrants. You might not like it, but they're migrants. It doesn't matter. What they don't understand is just because you stop making war with them doesn't mean that they've stopped making war with you.
Sorry, what does this have to do with fucking the fact that Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein were best buddies, and the evidence that is being destroyed, any evidence that you have that the evidence is being destroyed, is only happening when Trump is president?
If America's going to get taken down, and we have enemies all over the planet.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Trump doesn't have any on Little St. James Island anymore, but
America's going to get taken down. It's never going to be taken down militarily. You know that we know this. It's by far the strongest military on the planet. Can't touch it. But if you want to take it down from the inside, that's the way it's done. Oh,
by electing a pedophile, an unrepentant pedophile who's friends with other pedophiles? I don't know. Maybe he has a point. So Matt Marsden basically calling for Trump to step down immediately because he will lead to the destruction of the United States. And apparently everybody at the Blaze agrees. And until we get into this mentality that there are people that are actively trying to destroy the United States of America, I know it's very difficult for us to comprehend. No, it isn't. I mean, Stephen Miller's on TV almost every day. What these people are doing is trying to take down the United States of America as... And the way you do it is by letting Donald Trump insist that his DOJ not release evidence of Epstein's crimes because he's a part of it. It's fucking brilliant. How did the Iranians get this smart, Matt? Jesus Christ. It stands, or as it has done for however many years since. This is just dumb. This has, like, totally, talk about, like, fucking straw manning the shit. It's just red herring after red herring. This is absurd. Founding. They want to destroy it. They want to, Barack Obama. Who's they, motherfucker? Right? I want to fundamentally change the United States of America. He's done a good job, right? The only way, and I believe this is why Elon's doing. Well, by eliminating the unfairness that existed. He's doing, this is why Trump is doing what he's doing. The only way to do this is to massively shrink the government. Like, massively shrink the government. So what you're seeing is... No, it isn't. What the fuck does this have to do with them? If you shrink the government, you have fewer IGs sitting around watching who's shredding Epstein files. What? Every single... To our point about the judges stopping this... Okay, I don't think he's buying what Matt is selling. Matt, what the fuck are you talking about? Pull your head out of your ass, man. Happening, the federal judges stopping this thing from happening. No, you can't fire those people. Can you imagine working in a job where you can't get fired for doing something wrong? Or yeah, they weren't doing anything wrong. Something bad? Well, they weren't doing anything bad. They were doing their job. A job that had been funded and created by an act of Congress, and that they had not undone. And the president's job is to carry out and faithfully execute the laws of the United States. And a budget is a law. You have discretionary ability in that budget, but you do not have outside of that budget. You're given a window where you can fuck around with some of the money for your priorities. But some of it is established wholly by an act of Congress, and the president signs that. And it has more value than an executive order, dum-dum. And if you want to talk about destroying our system from within, it's assholes like this that think you should be able to upend and chuck out every fucking treaty or bill or law that we put into because the new president just decides on a fucking whim in his vapor-filled spongy head in stage 5 syphilis decline that he just thinks tariff is a pretty word.
Of it. You heard about the subpoena, right? Has anyone ever been punished for not following a subpoena?
Yeah.
Yes, Jim Jordan.
Steve Bannon.
That's all you need to know, right? One guy, right? There's never anyone being held accountable from the left, ever. And they know it. So all they're doing, to your point, is they're waiting it out. They're waiting it out.
So, look.
Last word.
Doge goes and collects 230 million here. Cut 2 billion from Harvard. Cut. Corruption. Thank you for cutting the funding. Who's investigating the corruption? Who's prosecuting the ones who were corrupt?
You're assuming they're corrupt. All they're doing is cutting shit they don't like. That's not corruption. That's not even waste or abuse or fraud. You just don't like it. It's a shift in priorities. You don't get to, everything you prioritize isn't suddenly legal and perfect and worthwhile, and everybody else's priorities are suddenly criminal. It doesn't work that way. It never fucking will. And if it did, we wouldn't be a country. And talk about destroying the country from within. God damn, these people are stupid. Honestly, did somebody like wrap the fucking building in plastic at the Blaze? And over the last few months, they've just used up all the oxygen.
Yeah.
Thank you for cutting the funding. They
didn't cut the funding. Funding was largely established by Congress. That they'll get sued and they'll lose. They have to go through regular channels. You have some proprietary stuff that you can go after, but you're going to have to reestablish a bunch of it. It's going to cost us a bunch more money in the end. It's a waste of time.
Funding Planned Parenthood and who knows what else.
Oh, you mean driving up death rates among newborns and mothers?
But there was corruption, right? So who's going after those who were corrupt? They're still...
You're assuming there is. Maybe there wasn't any corruption. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe they looked as hard as they could fucking look and they couldn't find any that didn't involve Republicans. Maybe that's why. I mean, do you think Elon Musk and his crew, if they found a Democrat that was living off the tit and just stealing money left and right, that they wouldn't throw that over to Pam Bondi and go after them like hard as nails? Do you think they're going to let them slide? And if they did, why? Because if you look at that one, you have to look at this one. And if you found something you thought was skimming in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, you find a Republican that was doing it in the millions or tens of millions, and that's why you leave it alone? That's why Pam Bondi's not doing anything? I mean, the answer is right in front of you. If you just Occam's razor. If the idea that Trump or Doge or Pam Bondi is protecting Democrats who are committing fraud against the taxpayers is fucking nuts. It's just stupid at its base. And if you can't see that, well, if that's not the case, if they're finding it and they're not prosecuting it, then maybe they're not finding Democrats that are doing it. They're finding their own. And they don't want attention drawn to their own, so they're not prosecuting it. That's why. There is no legit reason why they wouldn't throw every Democrat to the fucking wolves if they found out that they were committing direct fraud, if they had evidence of that fraud. But the only reason they wouldn't bring these things up and wouldn't forward charges on fraud, specifically if they knew it existed, if they knew it was a Democrat, of course they'd forward it. But if they found out it was a Republican, maybe that's why they're not.
Government.
Yep. You're right.
Yep. No, he's not. You're all blind and are refusing to see, except for Matt, who's just bullshitting to avoid the topic entirely, that the only reason that they're not forwarding it is because clearly there are a bunch of Republicans up to their assholes in this stuff, and they know it.
Got to go.
And
they've got to go.
Well, they've got to go, and they need to be made an example of, because otherwise, to your point, it will just continue happening. I mean,
if it's happening, if you've caught it at all, which you haven't, again, why wouldn't Republicans in charge of everything right now go after people if there's obvious fraud going on? It would seem like the easiest political fucking win in the world.
their prison time needs to be served for all of these crimes, actual criminals. These are the actual criminals. As much as they wanted 91 indictments, 34 felony counts against Donald Trump, these were the actual criminals the entire time. And
who? Name one. Who? Who? Anybody? Just fucking one program. Tell us all one program that's clearly fraud and that the people should go to jail for it because they were clearly not spending the money they were supposed to be spending on the thing they said they were spending the money on. Knock yourself the fuck out. And we'll all be like, okay, fuck them. Especially those of us that care about the issues that they are purported to care about, that they are allegedly stealing money from.
Needs to be some sort of vindication and retribution for that. I don't care if that sounds harsh. It's just the truth.
It's just fucking gibberish. Like, again, it doesn't sound harsh. It sounds like you're doing everything you can to try and hide from the fact that it's fucking Donald Trump. Good Lord. Yeah. Why aren't you clamoring about Pete Hegseth? You know full fucking well that battle plans as they're happening are classified top secret. And that posting them on Signal is fucking illegal. You know it. Shut the fuck up. Stop. Stop what you're doing and admit it. What about fucking Hillary Clinton unless you can find battle plans on her fucking server that made it to the surface because you heard about them, because you didn't. And all those 30,000 emails ultimately were found, and the classified stuff on them, what was it? Was it battle plans? Was it strategic locations of CIA buildings? No, it was fucking Bean Dip and her schedule to go to fucking weddings, which technically the Secretary of State's schedule is classified, but it's not top secret. And the minute it happens, it no longer matters because everybody knows where they were because the Secretary of State gives statements from almost every place they go. God damn, this is lazy. And Catherine's like, hey, lady, they have to have a trial first. Oh, we're not even at that point. They're not even admitting who the fuck would be called to the carpet on this shit. Jesus. And like everything to just try to not talk about this stuff. Hold on. And the gold, what? Presidential gold Arium note for, oh God. Oh, he's dead. Another meme coin. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh dear. All right. Son of a bitch. Can we do this tomorrow? Do the whole thing tomorrow afternoon before I go to, because I'll be in LA. But I got to do stuff for the show this weekend. I got recording to do. So, yeah. God damn it. This is his full, President Trump on judicial insurrection, tariffs, 100 days in office. This is his exclusive interview. This is why he wasn't at, why is that? There you go. Why? Jesus, Trump looks like shit. God damn. Yeah, long days and lonely nights. This is why Glenn was like reporting from somewhere else. Yeah, in the last little like the last couple of shows, why he's been out of the studio and wearing like t-shirts to work. Philip's okay, yes. I know it's tempting, CSL. Jesus Christ. It's just so fucking gross. But we're going to have to give it some time. And you know me, 48 minutes of that asshole will take me 2 hours. Minimum. Yeah, Trump looks like shit. And I think part of the reason why you saw what's her name, Sarah Gonzalez on the Blaze saying we don't have a lot of time. It's because I think they're all around him, and they're like, everything they said about Biden while Trump was in office is true about Trump. Can I send you on your way on a let's see if I can find this thing. I'm gonna show you. Yeah, where's the yeah? Let's try to find this. Yeah, here you go.
100 days job.
Hold on, let me show you this. This we'll end on this because I feel like this will be great. First 100 days job approval, 100-day mark. How's Trump doing? Is he super popular? Is it mandate city? Nope. He's actually, not only is he the lowest of all the presidents, he's lower than he was the last time he was the lowest of the last 4 presidents. Bush 63, Obama 62, Biden 54% at this point at 100 days. Trump was 45 in his first term, is 45. Now he's 44. Whoops. And this is from, obviously, the liberal media over at Fox News.
Job approval. If you look at our new Fox News poll at 100 days job approval compared to other presidents, there you see the president at 44%.
Plus or minus 3 points. I'm going with 3%. I'm going with minus.
And you see his first term at 45% at this mark, the 100-day mark. We have other new polls that are revealing some concerns about the economy. Let's talk about that, the politics.
Revealing. Where's my popcorn?
And these polls. Fox News chief political analyst Britt Hume joins me. Britt, you've looked at these. What strikes you?
Well, a couple of things. There's a list of issues that we asked people what they felt about. Mm-hmm. And the president is underwater in all but one, and that one is the border.
Oh, yes. And wait till they find out that he's got to fund the border, or those soldiers will be standing down there in the fucking heat away from their families with no overtime pay.
Where he's got high approval on that, majority approval, he's above water. Everything else, including immigration, which for some reason was separated from the border in this particular poll, he's a little bit underwater on immigration.
Yeah, that's because, according to himself, there's still fentanyl pouring into the country.
He's way down right at the moment on the economy, and even way down further on tariffs, which are, of course, part of that.
Yeah, the most beautiful word in the world. I agree. I'm starting to agree with him that it's the most beautiful word because it singularly is his worst polling topic.
So, foreign policy rating isn't good and so on. My thought about this is not really unexpected in my view, Brett.
Well, yeah, he's a fuck up. So he was going to fuck up. We know he's a fuck up, and he was going to keep fucking up. Sure.
His overall approval rating, as you noted earlier, is 44%. So much of what he's undertaken remains a work in progress. And,
yes, it can get much worse.
They haven't got any trade deals yet.
Yet's doing a lot of the heavy lifting.
The tariffs are out there, and people are worried.
They're out there
about them and don't like them. We don't know how that's going to play out.
Poorly? I'm just going to go with poorly. They're going to, yeah. He's going to shit the bed again.
We don't know how the foreign policy endeavors are going to pan out. We don't.
Oh, I do. They're not going fucking anywhere, and that a lot of the European countries have realized that if they just suck up to him and give him a bunch of pomp and circumstance, he'll agree to whatever they say anyways, in spite of whatever the people around him are saying, and he's weak that way.
We'll have peace between Ukraine and Russia, which he promised.
Yeah, he promised in less than 24 hours.
So there's a lot of work to be completed, which, if done successfully, I think would dramatically elevate his current approval rating.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah, again, if I don't know about you, chat room, but I don't think Britt Hume thinks that's going to work out any more than you and I do. I think he knows for a fucking fact that it won't. That it ain't. That Trump is shitting the bed in every area. And the only reason he's polling better with the border is because, like I've always said, his piece of shit wall didn't work. Didn't work. So, you know, and it's not going to. He's going to keep, you're going to have to keep people posted down there forever. Like it's the fucking Vatican. And you're going to have to fund that. That's going to be a part of the budget. What do you think the military budget is going to be on a completely, like, personnel-heavy cover of the border? The way Trump wants to do it. For the rest of his term, in the billions of dollars, never mind the foreseeable future. What do you think, like, the militarizing the entire U.S. border will cost? In terms of, and never mind the fact that, you know, we still need a lot more immigrants coming in. If it's possible, let's see. Okay. Oh yes, thank you, CSL and Andrea. Yeah, about the show tomorrow night. I'm working on it. I might be able to do a link to the show on one channel, post that so people can watch it, and then we'll work on it. Anyways, much love to you guys. I got to take off and do some work. I was only going to stay an hour. Look what happened. You know why? Because I love you guys. That's why. Because you're awesome, and I appreciate you, and I can't leave you hanging, and we have to deal with this stuff, and we have to see it fearlessly, stare this dipshittery in the face, and realize, and I hope you realize while we're watching this, that a lot of the big fucking spook story about Trump and what he's capable of doing, and how they've got this big fucking secret society machine that they're going to move the deep state out, and they're going to, like, it's all nonsense. It's all garbage. It's all a sales pitch. Trump's whole thing about, I think they want to make a deal. I think they're going to make a deal. I think making a deal is going to make a deal. It's like muscle memory patter from when he used to be in real estate. It's honestly, he's just saying it out of habit. He's just saying, deal. I think they want to make a deal. I think a deal will be a big, beautiful deal. And what we're going to do together be something very special, I can tell you. Like, it sounds like a real estate deal on a shitty piece of property he's trying to unload. And this idea that he's some sort of master planner, or that even the people around him are capable of even pleasing their own, should be part of the conversation. I insist. And if I'm the only person pointing out that MAGA is getting very upset with Donald Trump, and they are slowly but surely, they're, you know, the ones who aren't just flat out bullshitting themselves like the assholes we saw in the Blaze tonight, but everybody else is inching towards that. Wait a second, maybe I've been had. I don't know that that means they will come over to our side, but it sure shit means they'll abandon his, and that's good enough for now. That's good enough. All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow. I got to finish doing my work for the show this weekend, and then I'm driving tonight like an asshole so that I can be there in the morning to do the show. If I work really late, I might leave in the morning after the morning show and not do an afternoon show. I want to be able to do all my shows tomorrow. That's the tough part, because there's that 4-hour chunk, and then stand-up, and then the drive back, and then radio. Where's that bullet train? Get here as fast as possible. Son of a bitch. All right. Hit the like, share the show, subscribe. All the stuff I forget to say. Patreon.com/HalSparks. If you've done the Venmo before, send me a super chat or a Venmo, or buy me a cup of coffee. If you think the service I'm doing here is worth it, chuck me $1 somehow, wherever it is. And on Facebook, you can use stars. It's now, I think, working again, maybe. And if you can't do it, if you just don't have it, just thank the people who do. That's all I ask. Because they help keep the show afloat, and I am so grateful I can barely stand it. Whenever I get a Venmo on my phone, Summer will tell you, sometimes I get teary. It's silly. But it's lovely. It's lovely.
I know it's a bit silly.
You think you know something about everything, don't you?
Gee, I wish we had one of them doomsday machines.
Bullshit!
Hey, you want to make $14 the hard way?
Those men wanted to have sex with me!
Don't wreck our show, you hoser.
Interesting way to open up a conversation.
But not be difficult, my Führer.
Well, boys, I reckon this is it. Nuclear combat toe-to-toe with the Ruskies.
He's a genius, eh?
Oh, God, that's all I need.
Hey, careful, man. There's a beverage here, huh?
Why are you dressed like that?
Negative function.
I knew it. I'm surrounded by assholes.
That was just bullshit, Joel.
Cinderella story, out of nowhere, a former greenskeeper now about to become the Masters champion.
It looks like a miracle. It's in the hole! It's in the hole!
Well, it's a well-known fact, Sonny Jim, that there's a secret society of the 5 wealthiest people in the world known as the Pentaglet, who run everything in the world, including the newspapers, and meet tri-annually at a secret country mansion in Colorado known as the Meadows.
So who's in this Pentaglet?
The Queen, the Vatican, the Gettys, the Rothschilds, and Colonel Sanders before he went tits up.
You are physically repulsive, intellectually retarded, vulgar, insensitive, selfish, stupid. You have no taste, a lousy sense of humor,